Hey everybody, it's Gareth with FCP. Today I'm going to be taking you through the steps on how to do the front brakes on a Mercedes C300 2008. This is also the CEO's car, so we're going to make sure we do an extra proper job. So let's get started. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is remove the caliper sliders with a 17 as your counter hold and a 13mm, which will actually go on the pin. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same on the bottom as we did on the top. Same sizes. Alright, next thing we're going to do is remove the caliper. We're going to have to compress the piston just a tad, so you want to pull towards you, which will loosen it up just a tad. The pad wear sensor wire is in this little bracket in the back, so you want to unclip that and give yourself some extra room. The pad wear sensor, you have these copper wires exposed. We're replacing the wear sensor, so just gonna go ahead and snip the wire so I can remove the caliper. The next step is to remove the caliper carrier. You won't be able to see these on the camera, but they're 18mm bolts, and they're right here in the back, and you'll see them protruding from the wheel spindle. So the carrier bolts are normally on pretty tight, especially if they've ever been worked on by somebody else who usually use air tools. So if you're using hand tools, you're going to need to use as much leverage as possible. So I'm going to double up on a box wrench here like that, and see how easily these come off. Alright, last but not least, I'm going to remove the sensor from the caliper carrier, because this will need to be replaced. And it's easier to do it off the caliper. We'll go ahead and hook the caliper back on for now. I don't want to stretch the brake line. I'm going to let it hang. And this is the pad wear sensor. Honestly, it just pulls out. And the new brake pads come with these new sensors, so there's no need to hold on to it. So, and last but not least, we're going to remove the rotor. It does have a securing screw, which is a T30 Torx. I'm going to remove the Torx all the way. I'm going to put a lug bolt on as a safety, because I have a feeling that this rotor might be stuck on here pretty good with all the corrosion I'm seeing. Go ahead and take a hammer to the back side of this and it should pop off. As you can see there, if we didn't have a caliper bolt or something securing the rotor, it would just flown off. And all that rust is what was holding this on. So these are toast. Alright, so with a little bit of a brake parts cleaner, I'm going to spray down the hub here. And with some sandpaper, preferably pretty gritty, we're going to go ahead and sand the hub down. You know, this might seem like a trivial detail, but the next time you need to do your brakes, you'll be thanking yourself you did this. If you had a grinding wheel, also, this will go a lot faster. But it doesn't have to be perfect either. Just have to try to get most of it off. Alright, we're going to smear a little bit of anti-seize on the hub. This will hopefully prevent a future complication when removing another brake rotor. Alright, we are replacing the factory original with the Zimmermann cross-drilled rotor, which is zinc plated, or zinc coated rather. You do not need to clean the rotor surface. Don't do it, as it'll actually damage the coating on it. So simply take them out of the box, put it on, and leave it alone. The brand new brake pads will clean off any surface contamination. Next thing we need to do is prep the caliper carrier. We're going to remove the old brake pads. Simply going to slide out. Going to remove the sliders because we're going to re-lubricate these. So this is basically how the caliper moves in and out. So we're going to clean those up and re-lubricate them. Alright, so we're going to take some brake parts cleaner and we're going to clean the caliper carrier. And the whole point here is just to get all the brake dust and buildup off the area where the brake pads slide. We're going to be using some synthetic brake lube. So we're going to put some right in there where the brake pads sit. And for replacement brake pads, we've decided to go with these Akebonos. If you watched any other do-it-yourself videos, we commonly use these brake pads for any daily driven car. Akebono does a pretty good job with the makeup on it. It's a full ceramic pad, but you don't normally have the associated shortcomings with most ceramic pads. You don't really have too much brake fade problems. They operate in a wide range of temperatures, low brake dust, so for a street driven car, these are a great replacement option. Alright, last but not least, you need to secure the new brake pad wear sensor. It went on the inner brake pad, which is on the inside here. See, there's a little hole cut in the pad. Simply going to push into place. And that's actually kind of a good thing that these brake pads are popping out so much. That means they're moving pretty freely. And that's actually what you want to see. Simply going to slide over the new rotor. And you have to feel the bolt find its home. Which, if you just kind of wiggle the carrier around and push the bolt in from the behind, you'll eventually hear them connect. I'll go ahead and put the top on as well. And this top bolt on this 4MATIC is also kind of tricky as well because the strut alignment bolts are kind of in the way, so can't even use a socket on it. And on the caliper bolts, just make sure they're snug. Alright, last but not least, before putting the caliper back on, you're going to need to compress the piston. You can use a set of channel locks for this, but quite honestly, I prefer using an actual caliper compression tool on this, or caliper compressor. Especially since this thing has a pretty large piston on it, it would really be hard to find a set of channel locks that's going to go back there. This is also a good time to see how easily the caliper retracts. If it's not retracting at all, that means that the piston is seized and you're either going to need to rebuild the caliper or replace it. And also, it's a good time to check for the rubber seal around it, see if there's no cracks in it, as any crack in here, water and contaminants will get inside the behind the piston, and that's where we'll also jam it up too. So Alright, caliper retracted actually very easy, which means that the caliper is in good shape. Also, always use an old brake pad in place in front of the piston. It's honestly the easiest way to do it. Right now I'm just lubricating these sliders before I put them back on the caliper carrier. And any extra lube from the sliding pins I'm just basically putting on the back of the pads, which will help prevent any kind of squealing. And then you're just going to simply slide the pin back in. And when you hear that little snap, that's just the little weather strip. Now I'm going to slide the caliper back on. We're going to route the pad wear sensor through the hole in the back. And then it's just really a matter of lining everything up. And don't forget to bring your pad wear sensor housing back down onto the caliper. I'm actually going to go ahead and make the connection now. It only goes in one way. And you just want it to be snug, you don't have to tighten them too much. And then you can take your bolts for the sliding pins. This is what holds the actual caliper on. And you're going to thread them in by hand. Now you're going to take your 13 and 17 millimeter box wrench. And you're going to start tightening these up. And really all you're looking for in these is hand tight, snug, and you're fine. Yep, we're tight. Alright, and last but not least, you're going to take your sensor wire, put it back onto its bracket. Remember, it has 3 locations. And you're done. That is how you do the front brakes on a 2008 Mercedes C300. As always, if you have any questions, please give us a call at 877-634-0063. Thanks for watching.